Hello and welcome back to the David SW YouTube channel. I'm CQ the Watch Guy, and I hope you're having an amazing day today. It's Monday. I can't even say the holiday season is right around the corner because it's literally here, just a couple of days until the Christmas holiday. So wishing you and all your family a big happy holiday season from me and everybody at the David SW family. All right, let's just get down to it. Rolex has decided to increase their prices for January 1st, 2025. We heard a little bit of rumors of this last week, saw a memo floated around, but we wanted to be sure we had some real concrete information before we spoke to you, the people. And over this weekend, we did get our hands on a Rolex price list and was able to digest some of that information. So I wanted to speak to you a few minutes and talk to you about it, shall we? Let's just dive right into the memo. Price list in general, not that big of a deal, to be honest with you. They're kind of natural, especially in times where you see currency fluctuations, inflation, all these things. When there's good economies and shaky economies, there can be price increases or price decreases. What's interesting about this one, as far as I know, this is a global price increase. Sometimes they'll do regional increases that may affect North America or Europe. There's certain key places to balance out currencies, but this seems to be a overall kind of a general price increase. So let's dive into a little bit from the memo that we saw floating around there. As Rolex watches will increase as of January 1st, 2025. According to the below following details, this does not include Daytona models. We'll talk about that in a second. 1% increase in steel, lithium, and platinum pieces. 2% increase in white roll source, so basically white fluted bezel on steel watches. 2% increase. So Datejust 41 Jubilee, Datejust 41 fluted bezel, those go up 2%. 5% increase in yellow Everose roll store and titaniums. All two-tone models and titanium models go up by 5%, and 7% in white, yellow, and Everose gold precious metal models. So basically 1%, 5%, 7%. 1% for steel, 5% for two-tone, 7% for precious metal. Not the craziest increases in the world. You'd like to see something a little bit less, but the price of gold has truly ballooned or increased, well, depending on who you're talking to. Over the past year. So gold is up, so that price increase was notable. The 1% and 5% makes sense because it's gold involved there, and 1%, 2%, those are just kind of natural increases as well. So nothing too crazy there, but to give you like a quick peek on some of the pieces, I'll pull out a handy little book I've been scratching notes on all day. So just to give you a quick rundown of where you're going to see some of the, your most common models in 2025. Datejust 41 smooth bezel, retail $8,050 today. In a couple of weeks, it will be $8,150, so $100 increase, nothing too crazy. Datejust 41 oyster bracelet fluted bezel, $10,350 retail, goes up to $10,550. And Datejust 41 Jubilee bracelet fluted bezel, $10,600 to $10,800. Nothing too crazy there. Let's talk about Submariners real quick. Your Submariner node date is 9,100. I'll go up to 9,200 January 1st. So a little $100 there, nothing crazy. Sub date 10,250 to 10,400. Two-tone goes from 16,150 to 17,000. So there you see that kind of increase there, and you feel a little bit more pain, but it's really if you're buying a full gold piece where you feel it. Solid yellow gold Submariner goes from 40,600 up to 43,500, and if you're going for Smurf white gold subs, go from 43,700 to 46,600. So definitely you're feeling a little bit of pain, especially if you're expecting to get your watch in December or in the next week or few days or so, and it gets bumped into January. There you really feel some pain. And if I was in that situation, I'd definitely be asking my my AD to take care of me with some price concessions, or maybe, give me some Rolex swag or something. Who doesn't love some good swag? But again, nothing too crazy out of normal there. Everybody who's always in this position, you feel that pinch, you try to work it out. But if you were able to purchase your watches before this increase, you're doing pretty well. And what I love about increases for people who've already locked in their watches, it just helps pad your floor price and what you got into. So the secondary market, everything kind of gradually goes up. It's not gonna, you're not gonna see a 30% increase in retail, but a nice gradual increase takes care of your watch and takes care of their legacy, is how I always look at it. Now let's jump into the Daytonas, which is where we get into a little bit of a different situation. Rolex Daytona models will increase as follows: 1% in platinum, which is still a chunk of change because it's platinum high price piece. 3% increase on steel models, 6% increase on yellow two-tone models. I want to throw this out there. I'd love to see a rose gold, steel and ever rose gold with a chocolate diamond dial Daytona. Just putting that out there in the universe. And then a 14% price hike in all gold pieces. So white, yellow, and ever rose gold get a 14% price bump, with the exception of gem set models, which is, I think, is very, very interesting. So 14%, that is a big jump. That's a quite a jump, especially when all the other models are only jumping up 7%. So it left me a little confused, left a lot of people who got this information a little confused. So a lot of rumors going out to why. So I decided to just call the boss and see what he thinks. I gave David a shout and say, hey, we're thinking about talking about the price increase. Why do you think there's such a big difference between the other models and the precious metal Daytonas? And he said, it's really interesting because, some people may have been thinking about this for quite a while, but look at Yacht Masters, look at current Yacht Master pricing and current precious metal Daytona pricing, and really look at that data and see what it tells you. So I did that. I went to the Rolex website, pulled up all my lists and stuff like that. And there was a little bit of a blip, you could say, in when you're looking at retail pricing, white Yacht Masters versus Daytonas. Let's just dive right into it. So Yacht Master Steel, we're talking 2024 pricing. So current pricing by the time you see this video, Yacht Master Steel, 40 millimeter platinum bezel, 12,300. A Daytona stainless steel, 15,100 US retail. 22% differential delta there in pricing. Let's go to two-tone. Yacht Master steel and gold, 16,400 retail. Daytona, 20,100 retail for steel and gold variation. Again, 22%, just a hair over 22% in a delta. Then we go to precious metal, and this is where the story becomes a little bit clear and where the blip is. Yellow gold, 40 millimeter Oyster Flex Yacht Master, 30,300. Then you go for a Pikachu, basically, yellow gold Daytona on the Oyster Flex, 31,900 retail. So the difference there is only about 5%, which, for a consumer, you're like, oh, this is great. I love this. I love that they didn't price things too aggressively compared. But as somebody who I look at, what I call logical, the logical retail pricing is what I call it. It's just a phrase I made up. Or if it already exists, I didn't steal it. This is my version of it. Anyways, when you're talking about watch brands, especially today, 2024, a retail price almost doesn't make sense, right? Or it doesn't make sense. It doesn't really matter for a lot of watches, because so many of these watches I'm talking about, you can't just walk in and get. There's a wait list. You got to have a relationship, all these things to get it. Most of the times you got to come to somebody like me who just gives you the watch at a fair price and you can get it, go home with it and enjoy it. But where you need this to make sense is for your VIPs, the people who can get the watch, right? And if I'm somebody who's buying precious metal watches, it's like, you know, when you look at it like this, is like, of course I go for the Daytona because it's priced wrong compared to a precious metal Yacht Master. And if you present me a precious metal Yacht Master, then I just go for the Daytona because you can just see from the black and white that eventually somebody's going to correct this and make the Daytona a little bit more aggressive, because the jump between a Daytona and a Skyroller was huge, over 30%. This kind of tightens everything up. So let me show you where we're going to be in 2025 in just a week or so away. You're going to be at 32,400 for yellow gold 40 Yacht Master on an Oyster Flex. For a Daytona yellow gold on the Oyster Flex, you're at 36,400. So now that delta is 12% versus 5%. And I think that is a little bit more aligned with the retail logic, the retail logic pricing, the retail pricing logic. I'm still working on this phrase. That it should be. Like, it makes more sense if I'm looking at all the pricing in the catalog, that this is separation between my time only date watch, my iconic in-house chronograph watch, and then my in-house annual calendar GMT watch. There should be logically a good separation. And when we look at the steel and steel two-tone models, there is that separation, but for whatever reason, I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper in there. There wasn't that separation when it came out for the Yachtmaster Oyster Flex and the yellow gold Daytona Oyster Flex. And I'm sure that's because when the Oyster Flex models came in, they were kind of they didn't even know where to price them. So they just kind of plugged them where they will. But now as things are breathing and we're adding new models in there, they kind of evened everything out. So again, in a nutshell, I don't think this is the craziest thing in the world. It hurts a little bit if you were expecting to pick up your watch within this week or the next 2 weeks, and then you get bumped to next month. And let's just talk a little bit about what those new Daytona prices we'll be looking at. New Pikachu, so yellow gold on Oyster Flex, 36,400, up from 31,900. Rose gold Daytona on Oyster Flex goes from 33,500 all the way up to 38,100. Let's get some bracelet models here. Rose gold Daytona on the rose gold bracelet from 44,300 all the way up to 50,500. Just a big chunk there. And then I just love how they describe this one. Yellow gold Daytona on the bracelet with the intense black dial with gold sub dials goes from 41,200 to 47,000. Really, really bumps up. Skydweller precious metals go from 42,750 down to up to 45,800 as well. So everything's getting that bump. But the Daytona collectors, you're definitely either about to feel a little bump, or you're happy that you picked up your piece a few weeks ago, because now you're getting a 14% bump again on the floor of your watch. I think this is really interesting information, and you should always try to see what's going on in the primary market, even if you just deal with secondary market, because we do eventually feel the ripples of these things. But again, I think everything is par for the course except for the Daytonas. But now that I understand the logic of it a little bit better, thank you, David. Now it kind of all makes sense in normal schemes of price lists, increase and everything like that. Either way, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I want you, please do me a favor. If you can like, comment, and subscribe on this video, I'll keep trying to bring more great ones to you. And make sure you check out davidsw.com, where you can see pretty much every watch I talked about today, and many, many, many more on the website. Make sure you check that new arrivals tab. We put about between 10 to 20 watches up every evening, and they are amazing. I'm CQ the Watch Guy, and remember, buy what you love.